Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is that time once again to start your week with, of course, The Charge. This is your boy Bernie here, bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And boy, do we have a lot of basketball opinions and basketball news and rumors to kind of talk about. But before we get into that, please remember to hit that like button. Also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Remember, the more likes, the more subscribers we get, the more that YouTube will recommend this channel to many other people out there. And if you're on Twitch as well, go and hit that follow button. It allows Twitch members to follow me as well. And for my Facebook guys, this is just my personal account. So definitely, guys, check out the content if you guys are interested. Make sure to follow on the appropriate platforms, YouTube, Facebook, no matter what it is. Make sure you go and hit that follow. But like I said, we're here to talk about a couple things. Of course, that being the Sacramento beef, like I talked about in the title. And also, I kind of wanted to talk about this double standard that I feel like there is in the NBA when it comes to players like Steph Curry. It doesn't really bother me as much, but it definitely is a double standard, hypocritical conversation when it comes to guys like Steph Curry and players that are kind of like in the smaller end. And, I'm not a big guy myself. I'm more on the smaller end as well. But, you don't see... it's just one of those things that, like, I know it's impressive for smaller guys to score and stuff like that, but we will be going over that as well. Not taking anything away from Steph Curry and what he's been able to do. He's a great player. Just want to make sure that we're live here on the channel. Great player, obviously a great dribbler of the ball. Everything about him is great, but we will go into a little bit of detail as to why I think there is a double standard when it comes to Steph Curry. But before we do that, let me take my sip of water. And away we go. Let's talk about the first story here really quick, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The first story, of course, comes from our Twitter investigation, thanks to a little bit of a Woj bomb, a little bit. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. And the first story, of course, talks about the Sacramento Kings beef, and that, of course, comes from Marvin Bagley's dad. I believe he is Marvin Bagley the second, as Marvin Bagley the third does play for the Sacramento Kings. And let me move on to the live scene so we can kind of talk about this and bring you guys this page right here. We got here from Marvin Bagley, or Team Marvin Bagley, right? Because they are a global takeover financial situation. Sacramento Kings, please trade my son Marvin Bagley the third ASAP. Love, Coach Bagley. I'm assuming his dad coaches somewhere. We got De'Aaron Fox's dad even getting involved, saying to trade him. And then, of course, you got De'Aaron Fox himself saying, Jesus Christ. You got a lot of people kind of really upset and frustrated with the whole situation. I mean, we got here, Team Bagley, please trade Marvin Bagley III ASAP. Then you got here, Marvin Bagley's dad has requested a trade out of Sacramento for his son. And then you got what sense does it make to treat Marvin Bagley III this way? No worries, it'll surely work out. Team Bagley III. So Supreme Gamer, how you doing? Do you think the Kings will listen to its dad? And see, here's the thing. I really did a little bit of research here. Obviously not the most thorough research I could probably do, but I did a little bit of research, and the reason why people are upset, or at least why I think he's upset, and the reason why you have like De'Aaron Fox's dad, or Aaron Fox, kind of talking. You got here from the Sacramento Kings. We'll watch this real quick.
Trying to turn this into a winning franchise. I don't know. Maybe it's not my place, Katie, but we're 5 games into the 6 games into the season.
I feel a little discombobulated right now, trying to figure out how to put this in a diplomatic way.
Right.
Every player in this league has to earn their time on the floor, and they have to fight through adversity if they're ever going to meet their full potential. And one of the toughest things this day and age in playing in this league, Kyle, is listening to outside noise. And when the outside
And I think she's 100% right when she talks about the outside noise, right? Like when I really look at a player like Marvin Bagley III, I've always been, and you can check on this channel, I have not been a fan of his since the beginning, right? Not saying that he's like, I don't think that he's going to be necessarily a bust, but I think as the number 2 pick overall in that draft, when you had so many guys in this draft class that you could have taken, Luka Doncic, obviously number 1, Trae Young, number 2, like, you know, and luckily, I mean, I think they had De'Aaron Fox at that point, so it doesn't, you know, that's null and void with Trae Young, but still, there were still a lot of players in that draft. We go back to this draft, right? You know, we go back to This is a story from The Athletic. We'll kind of talk about this in a little bit. But we kind of go to this, and Marvin Bagley's father tweets of a trade request, and then you got the player profile for what people wrote about Marvin Bagley III coming out of this draft class, right? Similar blend of Josh Jackson, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Anthony Davis. I've also seen numerous amount of comparisons to a guy like Chris Bosh and also a guy like Amari Stoudemire. Like, when he was at Duke, he was definitely a great player, but there was always something that cautioned me about Duke, and it all stemmed from Jahlil Okafor. And the reason why I don't think it necessarily works with these Duke big men sometimes is because when I see a guy like Jahlil Okafor, who I thought was going to be a for sure thing, turns out that it wasn't the case. And Supreme Gamer, to answer your question, because I feel like I'm like tiptoeing around it. No, I don't think they'll listen to his trade request at all. The reason why I don't think they'll listen to his trade request is because what has he done for the team lately, right? We know that he had a big injury last season to where he was out for basically a majority of the season, and they couldn't finish the rest of the season because I think he was due to get back during that time. So, Marvin Bagley was off to his hottest start. I mean, if we look at his stats here from the last season, played only 13 games, started 6 games, and, got about 25.7 minutes a game, shot about 46% from the field, shot about 18% from 3, and obviously that was just 13 games, so no big deal, right? Like, it's one of those, it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of don't really pay attention to that. But when we go on to this season, I believe he's played even worse. 38% from the floor, 30% from 3, more like 20 something in my opinion. If we kind of go here to the totals, it's one of those things where you look at the effective field goal percentage, it's all the way down. Turnovers are up, 13. I think he's on pace probably to get a lot more. Hey Tyrese, how you doing? Bagley needs to earn his minutes. If he doesn't come, it doesn't come easy. And that's the thing. Like, I think that's kind of where everyone's at right now. Like, look, I understand as Marvin Bagley's dad, I'm sure every dad can understand this point. You want to see your son succeed. You want to see your son or daughter succeed in whatever business venture or whatever aspirations that they decide to go into, right? And so I understand from Marvin Bagley's dad's perspective that, look, you want your son to play really well. You want your son to really do a lot of damage in this league as the number 2 overall pick. But unfortunately, due to the situation at hand, that's not going to be the case. Your son has to earn his minutes. He got injured last season. Let him get back into that. And Tyrese, how you doing, man? We're talking about this Marvin Bagley injury. We're talking about the Marvin Bagley situation, what's going on with that. Supreme Gamer, Bagley needs to earn his minutes. Yep, it does not come easy. It definitely does not. Like, this league, and I think many other leagues, and Dwayne Haskins is a perfect example of this, and I think everybody else is kind of a thing that also would show you that nothing comes to you easy. You have to earn every single thing. I mean, even Alex Smith, after coming back from that gruesome injury, as much as he was a proven starter in Kansas City and San Francisco, he still had to work his butt off to get back to the point where the team was like, all right, we trust you to get us in the playoff game. Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles, a little bit suspect by taking Jalen Hurts out, but that's okay. It is what it is at this point. That conference is absolutely terrible, and they'll get eliminated in the first playoff game. Tyrese, you said his work ethic and dad pumps everything up just because he was a big high school player and is a big boy in the league now. And that's the thing. Like, look, we understand that Marvin Bagley could potentially be good. He could potentially be a great player for this organization. But at the moment, what I'm seeing right now is that I don't think he's done. I think that Rashawn Holmes has done a much better job in his role. Right? This season, he started 6 games. Obviously, he's getting a lot more minutes at 28, almost 29 minutes a game. And, he's not going to shoot the 3-point shot. That's not his game. But he's going to rebound the ball. He's going to do a lot of things. Getting 9.3 rebounds a game, 8 point. Meanwhile, you got a guy like Marvin Bagley, who unfortunately, the only thing he can do is score, and he's not really scoring effectively right now. And that's the reason why his minutes are at 25. Which for anybody, coming from the league, you would think that that's great. But according to Marvin Bagley and his father, it's not good. And I do think that Marvin Bagley thinks this way. I do think that Marvin Bagley talks to his dad and says, hey, I'm really frustrated because, I'm trying to get into the first team. Or, he's starting every single, here's the thing. And obviously starting doesn't matter, in the long scheme of things, right? But when you are a starter, getting 25 minutes a game, that's a pretty good chunk of minutes. Compared to some other guys that would love to get 25 minutes just being off the bench, right? And, I think Marvin Bagley right now would love, anybody in his position would love to just start a game. And he started all 6 games. It's not like this guy is coming off the bench, producing less and everyone's it's not that at all. He's starting the games. He's giving you 25 minutes, and he's just not produced. I mean, let's watch a little. I kind of want to watch some clips of him, and we'll probably watch in a sec. I'll make sure to bring it up in the YouTube and kind of show you guys what I'm talking about. But it's just like right now, it's created a whole chaos and situation to where Luke Walton has to deal with it once again. He dealt with it with LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball in LA. Now he's got to deal with it once again in Sacramento with Marvin Bagley and De'Aaron Fox's dad. Like, De'Aaron Fox's dad now getting involved. De'Aaron Fox has kind of shown, man, that it's one of those things. Would my Phoenix... Let's see here. So his Bagley has not proven anything. He needs to earn it. Lay, how you doing, Lay? Bagley was taken second. Would my Phoenix boy D Ayton produce more? I think Ayton would do I think Ayton actually would be a very good complementary player to a guy like De'Aaron Fox. Like, he would definitely be a guy. The Phoenix Suns decided to go on the Ayton route and say, you know what, we're going to take Ayton. We're going to make sure that him and Devin Booker kind of develop together instead of taking a guy like Luka Doncic or even Trae Young for that matter, which they were desperate in need of a point guard. I said that the Phoenix Suns should have taken Luka Doncic number one. That has always been my number one position. Not saying that DeAndre Ayton can't be a great player, but I think he'll be a star. All-star, I think it's kind of on the verge of there, depending if he decides to grow a little bit more. They left Willie Cauley-Stein out of Sacramento. You're right, Tyrese. They took him out of there and said, you know what? We're going to play Marvin Bagley because we believe in him that much. And to me, that is where I get frustrated. It's one of those things where I wish that the Sacramento Kings would redo this draft and take either Luka Doncic, who I thought would have been a perfect fit in that system, just, along with De'Aaron Fox. I think it would have been a great thing. And obviously that just didn't turn out to be the case, right? It turned out to be, we like Marvin Bagley. He's such a great player out of Duke, a well-respected program, but we've seen for the most recent years how Duke players have produced. Jason Tatum being probably the exception to the rule at this point right now. Wendell Carter, I'm still waiting for him to kind of grow and develop. There's a lot of guys like that. Jahlil Okafor, who I was so high on that draft. I remember him being out there, and I was like, this guy is going to be the number one pick, or this guy is going to be a for sure thing in the NBA. And it ended up not being true because he was born in a different era, in my opinion. I think that if he was born in the early 2000s or even the 90s, he would have been a for sure locked type of player. It's just right now, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like Marvin Bagley has yet to earn his spot on the team as a guy that can contribute more than 25 minutes. I mean, it's one of those things where I just don't know. Let's look at Marvin Bagley highlights really quick, Let me see if I can kind of see here. This was 5 days ago. Let me see if I can put this in here. And just kind of look at this game, right? You see here. And the thing is, the thing that I like about Marvin Bagley is that he's long and athletic. I think that everybody kind of knows that about Marvin Bagley, right? He's a guy that could definitely be someone that, around the rim, he's absolutely perfect. But when it comes to outside of 15 feet, where I feel like you need to be a little bit more effective as a center, or especially as a power forward. And the reason why he's playing power forward is because he's not strong enough to be a center, right? He's one of those guys that, still needs to grow some muscle in order to really compete and get into it. And Tyrese, he said, Ayton's one of the best centers in the league, man. Luka is cool, but Booker is better with the big. Luka is too inconsistent. And you're right. And I think that the thing that I notice about Luka right now, and it's kind of like the thing they struggle with, is consistency, and I think weight as well. I think he's overweight right now. I think that he's about the same thing as Harden. The thing that I criticize about Harden is the same thing I'll criticize about Luka too, is that he's overweight right now. He needs to, shed the weight, man. Like, Luka Doncic right now is probably playing overweight right now, and that's the reason why he's doing so bad, and the reason why I don't think he's as effective getting to the rim or even doing anything in the paint, because he's overweight. And as a professional athlete, you have no choice to be overweight. You have to work on your game. And unless you're like James Harden, who's been doing it for a long time, that could somewhat get away with it, I still think that he had an ankle injury that might be a factor into why his weight. And when you're a little bit heavier, you put a little bit more You put a little more pounds on your ankles, and that's the reason why I think James Harden's out right now with an ankle injury. And the same thing's going to happen to Luka if he doesn't shed these baby fat pounds. Like, and then it's the same thing. I don't know if Jokic was kind of the same way too. Like, I feel like these players would be much more effective, like at a leaner position, like leaner. Like, obviously you still need some fat, and I feel like in the NBA you do a little bit, so you can take some of the blows that you take, when you go and attack the rim and other things like that. And Tyrese, we'll get back to like the best center in the league. I think there's a lot of centers that I think I would take over him, at this point of his career. Ayton's still a young player. I think the reason why they brought in Chris Paul this season, Logan, I don't know if you want to agree with me or not, is because they want to see if Ayton can become a superstar. With a guy like Chris Paul at the helm who can really dish off assists and give great looks to your big man, they want to see if Ayton can kind of produce as the third guy to see if he can finally become the second guy. And that's kind of my opinion on DeAndre Ayton at this point, because I think that that's kind of where they're at. Anthony Edwards, same thing. I think Anthony Edwards a little bit overweight, but I think he's working on it. I think that he's going to lean out a little bit more than I think a guy like Luka Doncic, who's already played 5 games, and I'm really concerned that he's not going to lose this weight. And I think it's going to be a huge issue when we get back to, playing the rest of the games that we are. We're only like 5 or 6 games in, and he's already kind of shooting probably his worst percentages of his whole career. Logan, you said I'd put Joker, Gobert, Zingas, AD, Cat, and a few centers over Ayton, just this alone. Some of these players grew up with eating mayonnaise sandwiches. Now they get to eat great. Don't blame them to an extent. Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think that once you get kind of to this lifestyle where you can have any type of food you want, you can basically eat whenever you want. It wasn't like, for some of these players that are probably in a position where they couldn't always eat like, freely as much as like the people that were in the upper or middle class. Actually, I wouldn't say middle class, more like upper middle class and kind of the rich people. I do agree with you to some extent, but at the end of the day, these players have been taught since college, because a lot of these players went to college. There's probably a few exceptions that went to the G League. And even then, the G League, they have nutritionists at the schools. They have players, they have people in there to help you with your nutrition. And I think that a lot of these players don't take that stuff seriously. It's kind of the reason why I've kind of learned about this for myself and the gains that I want to get myself. I've been working out for over 4 or 5 years now, since sophomore year of college. I've been working out, trying to get bigger, not bigger in terms of like more muscle, but more lean out and kind of have this stuff. And it kind of goes back to the same thing. It's the diet. And the diet is going to be huge no matter what sport you play, whether you play basketball, whether you play football. Because in basketball, you have to be leaner. You have to be lean in order to run more. It's a cardio sport. It's a sport that you have to go up and down for numerous amount of times. Meanwhile, in the NFL, you're sprinting your hardest for like 15 seconds, maybe 15 to 20 seconds of play, and then you stop. It's just like, and then Logan, you said, I agree. They brought in CP3 to boost Ayton beforehand. We had Rubio running the show. That's rough. Yeah, Rubio, he's very inconsistent. He's a guy that, to me, is like the epitome of inconsistency. Same with Tatum. Even at Duke, he put on too much weight when raised by a single mom growing up. Even these college players get to eat whenever they want, infinitely in meals because of, yeah, that's true. The meal plan does definitely help, or definitely entice that. I remember working for the football team. I'm sure Larry who also worked for a football team. We worked for opposing Pac-12 teams. I think we can both kind of agree with like the food that the players ate and that, we occasionally ate it sometimes, man. It is a lot of food. Like, it is so much food that it's absolutely ridiculous how much they actually eat. And, this is just football, right? In basketball, it's more so you probably want to carbo load just a little bit because you are going to burn those extra calories just running up and down the court. But I think with Luka, it's a scary thing to see that he's already kind of ballooned. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, he looks a little bit bigger, maybe, needs to, shed away some of the pounds. Back in the pack, baby. You're right, man. Those were some fun times. And it's just one of those things again where, you want to see these players kind of grow and succeed. But the problem is that the mentality of some of these players is absolutely wrong. And hopefully my stream isn't going to get knocked down because I have some, I'll just make sure it's like right here, pause, not really playing. We'll kind of watch a little bit more of the highlights here. again, Marvin Bagley, again, long wing defender. I know we kind of went on a little bit of a tangent, on a side tangent of who the Sacramento Kings should have taken. Yeah, my brother's friend was in the NFL and it was just free food. Yeah, I mean, that's the case, man. Like, these players, no matter if you're in college or whether you're in the NFL, you are getting a lot of food. And we'll kind of move on to this so we don't make sure that we don't get copyright striked. So apologize if we kind of move from like highlight to kind of talking about this. Yeah, it's one of those things, Tyrese, and I agree with Logan, and I agree with kind of what the sentiment that everyone says about the mentality of eating, right? It's one of those things where you have to, it's self-control, and only you and yourself are to kind of get over the hump, right? Because as much as your parents can take away all your food, your significant other can take away all the food, it doesn't matter. When you're hungry and when your body's hungry, it's all about like how your body reacts to being hungry, right? Your body could be super starving, or you could be like, kind of a little bit hungry, and you're like, damn, I'm really hungry for some like nachos or burritos, and you just go to town on whatever you see out there, right? Or, especially for these NFL and NBA players, oh man, free food, I'm going to take it. It's just, who says no to free food, right? And so at the end of the day, kind of going back and, kind of getting back on the rails of this Marvin Bagley story, I think Marvin Bagley, he's a guy that needs to put on some weight to kind of segue into it, right? He's a guy that needs to put on some pounds in order to compete with the NBA centers. Because to be honest with you, he's more of a power forward, kind of like that Chris Bosh type of mold, but just doesn't have the outside game of a Chris Bosh. Still has like that kind of in the middle high school basketball where you're the biggest guy, so you're going to dunk everywhere. And so at the end of the day, I want to see a little bit more consistency from a guy in Marvin Bagley III. And, his father has no right to complain, and we'll kind of read this article. So Marvin Bagley III Bagley will be a decent role player. I think he will be as well, Tyrese. He'll be like a guy that provides you some great quality. I think he's honestly a little bit, I would say, a better offensive upgrade from Willie Cauley-Stein, and that's it. And I know that's harsh, and I know a lot of people are not going to agree with me with that, but I really do think that he's not more than an upgrade offensively of a Willie Cauley-Stein. And as soon as people realize that, as soon as he realizes that, I think it'll be better, because then he'll work on his game. Because like you said, everything's earned, not given. So let's read the story by Jason Jones. Marvin Bagley III began his media availability by making it clear that he had no intentions of addressing the fervor started by his father, Marvin Bagley Jr., tweeting from the Team Bagley account during Saturday's loss to Houston that he wanted his son traded. Before we start, I just want to say that if there's no more questions about the game tomorrow, what we're going to do tomorrow, please don't ask, Bagley said. I don't want to give any extra information on nothing. If you don't have questions about the teams or tomorrow's game, just hold off on those. Bagley offered no alternative time to discuss the trade request when he was still asked about distractions or directly dispelled the notion that he might want to be traded. Bagley ignored those questions and went to the default theme of being excited about Monday's game against Golden State. Like I said, tomorrow is going to be a big game. Excited about that, Bagley said. So a team that is surprisingly 3-3 now is making headlines because of Bagley and not because of his playing up to the expectations of being the player selected to the second overall in the 2018 draft. Bagley's refusal to address the trade tweet on whether he agrees would be better off with a new team could fuel speculation and fans and media checking for more tweets. Bagley's father tweeted and trade request during the Rockets game, deleted that tweet only to retweet a screenshot of a trade request. So, we read this, we said here, please trade him away. And we kind of get here, let's go to the Twitter account and see if there's anything else that he's added to it. Doesn't look like it. He's enjoying what's going on with Halliburton. And, we kind of look at here, the family enjoying it. And it's just one of those things, man, where I don't think that it's necessarily the right move that his dad did. I think it's kind of a low blow. It's a distraction that the team doesn't need. And like we talked about numerous amount of times, Tyrese, Logan, and Supreme Gamer, like, what has he really done in the league right now to really for his dad to say anything? What has he done in this league to really be like, yes, I deserve to be the number one select, or, I deserve to be traded because my talents are not being used properly. And you know what? The fact that he has said, like, these rumors are not true. I am not, to say, like, I am happy here in Sacramento. I'm happy with my role. Obviously, I would like to improve my role, but that'll come with time as I work hard and get to the right thing. He could have said that. He could have said forget these rumors. I am here to focus on basketball and getting better as a player. But instead, we're left with kind of what we're seeing here from what we got here. It's like, don't talk to me about it. I'm happy to be here in Sacramento. And we're on to Golden State. Like basically the Bill Belichick approach, we're on to Cincinnati, where he doesn't really address what's going on. And to be honest with you, it's going to fuel more speculation. It's going to fuel more people kind of saying, oh, you know what? I think that you really should be saying something here. But at the end of the day, it's up to Marvin Bagley and his dad whether or not he wants to get traded. And it is a sad state of affairs, in my opinion, because I do think that Marvin Bagley, like I said, could be a decent role player for a team, could actually be like a good role-playing player for the Sacramento Kings team. It's why they're doing so well. 3-3, not obviously the best of start, but definitely like off to a great start. They were 3-0 at one point. Obviously, you play 72 games, so the 3-3 doesn't really matter at this point. But you were playing very well up to this point, and then all of a sudden you got to this, and then it's like, yeah, it is what it is. And let's see here. Just wants his dad to get him to a contender to carry him and revamp his name instead of grinding for it. Yeah, and that's the case. Like, are we gonna see like? And this is not what I want to see from the Boston Celtics. Do not trade for this guy. He's obviously shown his true colors when the going gets tough. He's not going to want to be there. And his dad's kind of shown the true colors as well, that it's like, when the tough gets going, he's going to kind of go out the other way and be like, you know what? I'm not really into this rebuild. I'm not really into, being a centerpiece. And I don't want this guy on our team. And I hope that anybody that is willing to make a trade for him needs to really think long and hard and see a lot more out of him. Because remember, he got hurt last year and we haven't really seen much from him since. Like I said, we're comparing his stats, for the season, 37% from the field, horrible, a career low. You got effective field goal percentage. The factors that 3-point field goals are worth more than 2. He's at a 40%, one of the lowest in his career. Free throws, 61%, 13 of 21. So obviously he's a little bit distracted. And it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not sure if I'm necessarily agreeing with, him getting more minutes than 25 a game. I mean, what? Read those stats to me again and show me how he deserves more NBA minutes. I can't tell you that he deserves more NBA minutes. Can you tell me from these stats that we're reading here that through 6 games, he's 37% from the floor, 30% from 3, not good enough. 39% from 2-point field goal percentage, horrible for a center, right? Let me see if I can find his shot chart for 2021. Let's see here. And then we'll kind of look at his draft profile again. Marvin Bagley, shot chart. Whoops. Let me see here. I wish I could check his shot chart. Let's see here. I wish you could maybe in the stats and bio. Hopefully they have like a shot chart, but I don't think they do. Let me mute this as well. And look at this for fantasy basketball. Obviously fantasy basketball is not really a big deal, but it's still kind of a thing. Sprained foot out for the year. Trying to see here if they have any of his stats, but I want to see more of advanced stats. Hopefully they have. I don't think they have a shooting game log. Maybe. Let's look at his game log even. And Tyrese, let me read your thing. Don't worry about the Celtics getting him. Danny wants goofy guys. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I think Danny wants like some crazy stuff going on. But yeah, let's look at his stats from the first games that he's been playing, right? So, obviously 27 minutes in the first game, 13 points. Second game, 13 points. Shot 5 of 15 in his first game, shot 5 of 10 from the next game, shot 5 of 13 from the third game, 6 of 12 from the other one, 1 of 9 from the Houston Rockets game, 5 of 13 from the other Houston Rockets game. How in the hell can you tell me Marvin Bagley the third and Marvin Bagley Jr., Marvin Bagley the second? How can you tell me that a guy like Marvin Bagley deserves more playing time and deserves to be traded to a contending team when he is shooting 1 of 9? And I wish I had the shot chart for it. It would be so nice if they actually had the shot charts for it. I don't think they do. No, I don't think they do at this point. And we kind of see here,
offense to Marvin, but one of
he's kind of being compared right now to a guy like Jahlil Okafor, Michael Beasley, Eddie Curry, Miles Turner, who,
You haven't given up your sign.
yes, I am.
and it's just one of those things where it's like, let me see if I can see if Marvin Bagley has, I don't know if there's any, let me go sports. I don't think there's any type of reason to see a shot chart. But still, without looking at a shot chart, I mean, I could already tell, kind of looking at the stats and kind of going into the stats, really, it's not a good sign. Not at all. 62% from the field from free throws. 0 of 4 from the first game, 0 of 1 from the second game, 1 of 2, 2 of 5, 0 of 0, and 1 of 1. So I think he's starting to rein back his threes a little bit because he understands that that's not his game at this point. But my goodness, guys, like it's one of those things where, I understand you have to be confident within yourself. You have to be like, I am a starter. I am worthy of being the number 2 overall pick. But at this point, and me and my boy Pete, we talk about it time and time again. I always thought that he was going to be a bust in terms of being the number 2 overall pick, where you expect the number 2 overall pick to be a franchise-changing type of player. And I don't think he is. His dad obviously doesn't want him to be a franchise-changing player because he wants him to get traded to another team. I mean, what team is going to want this player? Maybe he is shooting out of his way out of Sacramento, Tyrese, but at the same time, this is not what I want to see from an NBA veteran player. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see what we're seeing right now in the NBA with this malarkey that Marvin Bagley is somehow being robbed or victimized when he's not. He's just not playing well. And the sooner his dad realizes it, the better. Because this to me is just kind of a frustrating night. I mean, let's go to his best night, kind of, maybe he'll show me the shot chart for these players. Let's see here. It has the shot chart here. We can kind of look at players, Marvin Bagley the third, right? And maybe I don't think I can slide it. So I'm going to slide this here so you guys can see. And we'll see here. This is where it concerns me. Like in here, like if you check in the paint right here, guys, he is money from inside. Maybe missed one, got blocked. And then we look at these other stats, and we'll kind of go over each game by game. Misses a deep 3, misses kind of an 8-footer, 12-footer, block shot, that's fine. But misses 2 open, I believe, kind of misses 2 open jumpers, 25 and 26 feet. And Tyrese said, most of these kids getting drafted top 10 nowadays are busts. It's not the 90s anymore where kids coming out work with a work ethic. I mean, you might be right on that, Tyrese. I mean, I think these next 2 drafts are going to change that perspective, I think. You got guys like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Suggs. A lot of these players, I think, are going to prove a lot of people wrong. And you got Amani Bates, who I think is going to be really good. I like his game a lot. But at the end of the day, I think you're right in saying right now we're just not seeing the best out of Marvin Bagley. We're not seeing the best. Like this generation right now is kind of disappointing me. The 2017 class is very disappointing. And I think the 2018 class, besides a couple players, are really kind of getting people excited. And let's kind of move on to another game that we can kind of look at the box score. Let's look at his 1 of 9 game, right? We'll mute this so it doesn't play. And we'll go to Marvin Bagley the third. Look at where he's missing these shots. Blocked shot, missed 2-foot shot. I mean, I don't want to see. I wish he could just kind of take away all the shots, because I would love to kind of just look at the shot chart. But the thing is, I do think that Anthony Edwards is going to be a decent player, Tyrese. He's obviously, a young player that probably needs to grow up a little bit more, just because of the fact that, it is a situation where you have to really, really slowly develop guys, especially in Minnesota where you're not going to be winning much. So I could see why, he's kind of got an outside career. I mean, Lonzo does too. And that's kind of the reason why I'm disappointed in Lonzo a little bit, because I think he's going to be taking that next jump. He did last season, and now he's kind of regressed back to bubble Lonzo. And that's just not a good sight to see. He's only scored, like, look at this. Makes a 1-foot dunk, and meanwhile the rest of his jumpers block shot. Misses an 8-foot shot, misses a 6-foot shot, and it's just one of those things where you just look at these shot charts. I mean, it is absolutely god awful. I mean, let's look at the game where they probably were in a close one, and let's look at Marvin Bagley again. It's these inconsistent jumpers from, 10 feet out that are going to really, even 9 feet out. Those jumpers are not reliable. And when those jumpers are not reliable for a guy that's his size and his length, and he can't make that type of jumper, it's going to be a bad time, and it's going to be a horrible situation for the Sacramento Kings, who want to, and he asked to be played more. He asked to be used more in the offense. He's asked more to be kind of a guy that takes over the team, wants to get more minutes than 25 minutes a game. But what from these last 2 games have you shown me from the Houston Rockets game that warrants him to get more minutes? You played 26 minutes one night. You played 25 another night. You played 27 in the Phoenix Suns and the Denver Nuggets game. But I'm not seeing the growth and development that I think a lot of people were expecting from a guy, Marvin Bagley. And I don't expect it. I expect him to be a really decent player. Do I expect him to be like an all-time great, an all-star, a superstar player? No. I expect him to be a really good player for this league. But right now, what I'm seeing from Marvin Bagley is a guy that I think is going through his dad, going through using his father and other type of media outlets to really say that he's very unhappy in Sacramento because he's not the focal point of the team, and 2, he's not getting the minutes, even though you're starting. I mean, we got games going on right now. We got Cleveland, Orlando, Charlotte, Philly. We got the Hawks and New York playing tonight. I mean, I'm not sure if they play tonight, Golden State. We'll see tonight if Marvin Bagley's earned his minutes. You're going to be going against Draymond Green, who actually had a phenomenal game last night. Even though scoring 1 point, the 8 assists, and commanding the team, that is something that is Draymond-esque, and that's something that Marvin Bagley is going to have to battle with tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, if I can speak. And he's going to have to learn how to deal with it, because right now it's just not looking good. At the end of the day, you can only control with what you have in front of you. And right now, I'm not seeing that from a guy in Marvin Bagley, who, again, I'm disappointed in, because I thought that he could have been a decent player. But at the end of the day, he's just been disappointing after disappointment. And and it doesn't shock me, because obviously I had a guy like Luka Doncic and Trae Young and DeAndre Ayton way ahead of Marvin Bagley at this point. And so, like I said, let me know in the comment section down below, guys. What do you make of this whole situation at hand? Whose side are you on? Are you on the side of Team Bagley, or are you on the side of De'Aaron Fox's dad and the rest of the NBA, where everyone's kind of saying, Marvin Bagley, you got to earn your place, and telling his dad, really let his play do the talking instead of you doing the talking for him? And because we all know, I think that Marvin Bagley feels this type of frustration. It's just Marvin Bagley's dad, Marvin Bagley II, kind of said it out loud to a point where teams are kind of like, or, especially, a guy in Luke Walton who has dealt with this, and especially with the Sacramento Kings organization, who has really been floundering for the last couple of years until they landed De'Aaron Fox, and, and getting Bogdanovich, but he hasn't really made a huge impact on the team. It's one of those things where it's like, you want him to deal with it. And let's listen into what Luke Walton has to say here really quick.
Well, the exciting thing is how hard they work, and I think they've shown that. You guys haven't seen it with Marvin yet, because he's getting ready to go into that second year, but you saw how much better Fox got from his first year to his second year. So we're excited as coaches as well to see where he takes at this level. We all got a little taste of it when he was playing with the USA team, and reports I had on Marvin from the USA team were that he was playing great as well. So when you work hard and you're talented and you have some of the gifts that they have, good things happen. So I'm very excited to see what both of them bring to the court this year.
And, that's a very PC answer of Luke Walton, who has dealt with this situation before, right? We remember the LeVar Ball, kind of wondering like why his son is, getting limited playing time. He doesn't think that Luke Walton's a great coach. And, I called out LeVar Ball for that, because at the end of the day, your son has to produce, he has to perform. And his first season, I think any Lonzo stan or any Lonzo fan or anybody that's been associated with the NBA would tell you he had a horrible season. And, you saw the growth and you saw the improvement season after season. And I think that you're going to get the same thing from many of these players. I think, Tyrese, what we kind of got to the point of is that these guys really need longer time to grow and develop. It's no longer, like you said, the 90s, where you spend 3 to 4 years in college, where your coach redefines your game, helps you become a better player, and then you're going and you're ready to attack the league. Now you have to let the players kind of sit for a little bit, have them kind of chill, have them kind of be in a situation where they really don't have as much, power to really get them over the hump in terms of getting them to the NBA Finals and stuff like that, or not even the NBA Finals, but more so the playoffs. I think those days of a single player getting you to the playoffs is gone. It used to be a factor when a lot of superstars were kind of spread out a little bit more. But now with the case of the 2020s and really the late 2010s, is that you're now seeing a situation where a guy like Marvin Bagley or a guy like I'm trying to think of other guys. I mean, you got, guys like Marvin Bagley, guys like Lonzo Ball, they need more time to develop. And it's kind of the same thing with LaMelo as well. I think he's going to take a lot more time to develop and grow too. Even though I do like his game, he's shown flashes of it. I think that he's still going to take his time to grow and develop as it pertains to him, becoming a bigger factor for the season. But like I said, guys, let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think of this whole situation, for the Marvin Bagley to the De'Aaron Fox to Luke Walton's. Let me know what you guys think of this whole thing. Do you guys think that Marvin Bagley and his dad are in the right, or do you think that they're more in the wrong and that they need to start, relaxing a little bit and getting there? Because another player that I wanted to talk about was, of course, Tyrese Halliburton. Halliburton actually played really well these last couple years, last couple games. Obviously missed, I believe, last game not starting. And you're seeing the growth and development of a guy in Halliburton, right? Playing 5 games, averaging a little bit more minutes than a guy like Marvin Bagley, who I think a lot of people wish that he was on the floor. But look at the free throw percentage, 87%. I mean, that's going to get you on the floor. That's going to get you on the floor alone in the fourth quarter. And then you got him shooting 50% from the 2-point range. You got him shooting 50% from 3-point, 52%, or I should say 57 from just 2-point field goals, as a total of about 53% from the floor. With the turnover ratio of 0.8. So what is that? A assist 4.4 to 0.8 turnover ratio. That is a really good ratio for a guy that's only playing 26 minutes. And that is how you earn minutes, my friends. Tyrese Halliburton is showing you that he's in contention for Rookie of the Year, even though I do have LaMelo Ball winning. With the way that Halliburton's playing, man, I think I might have to change my opinion, man. Like, Halliburton is playing really well. So is Anthony Edwards. I mean, there's a lot of people that are playing really well right now for rookies. But at the end of the day, I think Halliburton's kind of proving to many of these organizations that passed up on him and ended up at number 12 that they really should have taken him, because I think Luke Walton's going to do a really good job of developing him and growing his game. I mean, we're seeing right now De'Aaron Fox maturation process, and I think that he can really do a number with him. But at the end of the day, Marvin Bagley's got to realize that, look, with the efficiency of a guy like Halliburton, although he got hurt, it's just one of those things that I know when it comes to a guy like Tyrese, he's going to grow and develop his game. He's going to be hungry, and it's not going to be something where it's like, oh, well, where's my minutes? Or like, oh, where's my starting center spot? Or where's my starting point guard spot? Even though you have De'Aaron Fox. He's going to do what he's told. He's going to be in line, and he's going to make sure that, everybody's making sure that they are okay, making sure that they're ready. And I think you're going to see a really good situation at hand as it pertains to a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. Meanwhile, Marvin Bagley is going to be wondering where his opportunity is going to come from without showing anything to back it up. Because right now, Marvin Bagley III has been playing god-awful, and we'll see if he can kind of get any sort of momentum going for this next year. 2021, obviously a long year. This is going to be a very interesting situation that is going to develop as we see the playoffs grow and seeing if this guy can really grow and develop. But now let's talk about the story that I wanted to talk about, because I do think that there is a double standard as it pertains to a guy like Steph Curry, who scored 62 points, and a guy like, LeBron James, or, guys like Kevin Durant, who a lot of people are saying, well, we expect this from you. And right now, let's look at the stats. Curry's averaging 32 points a game. We kind of look at the deep dive into the stats, right? Let's deep dive. Last night, obviously, 62 points, an insane game. A game that you probably will likely never see. Well, maybe you might be able to see it maybe once or twice again. And he was able to do it from all sorts of the field, right? I think most of his points came from, I believe, the 2-point range. Actually, no, I don't think that that's a lie. I think most of it came from 3-point shots. I believe it was 8 of 16. He was like 18 for 19 from the free throw line, and then I think the rest of it was 2-point shots. And you know what? He's definitely getting people like me to be quiet a little bit in terms of, him struggling with the team right now. I believe they are, if I'm not mistaken, the Golden State Warriors. Let's look at their record right now. They are 3-3, kind of in the same position as the Sacramento Kings. I think it's going to be a tough situation for them to get over the hump of teams like LA, Phoenix, and Clippers. For the sole reason of you basically have you have Steph Curry and no one else. And I do think that Steph Curry was hearing a lot of the haters, including myself, including people that were like, nah, Steph Curry's kind of having a slow season. He's not going to do well this year. But he's shown people that, look, I am for real. I'm here to do my thing. And I need you guys to shut the heck up. Because he's really played really well this last game. But look at the games that they've lost, right? They barely won against the Nuggets. That's probably an accomplishment, and that's the preseason. Let's talk about opening night, right? They played against the Brooklyn Nets, lost 125-99. Played against the Bucks, I believe, Christmas Day, 138-99. The Bulls barely won by 1 point. Though that just shows you how bad the Bulls are, and I talked about that before. Lost to the Portland Trailblazers, 123-98. So there is nights where this Golden State team is really struggling to score the rock in terms of 3-point shots. And even just scoring in general. Because, Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins have been nothing but bricks this season. Kelly Oubre, I think he's starting to somewhat get out of his shell. But, he's leading the league in assists right now. James Wiseman showing you that this is probably a great growth and development spot for him. So that way he can get more touches and he'll get a little bit better. And we kind of look at the stats here for the shooting stats. It's one of those situations where we see Andrew Wiggins, how he's scoring, 37%. Like the fact that Andrew Wiggins is getting more 3-point attempts than he was kind of crazy. And Supreme Gamer, I don't think I'm focusing on the rusty. I just think what I'm focusing on more is not the critical, but it's more so the what do you call it? Hypocritical situation with Warriors fans and Golden State fans. Because I do think that when it came to LeBron James, everyone was making fun of him, especially for the NBA Finals, right? LeBron James scored what? 50-something points in an NBA Finals game, and, he missed the free throw, or, he was 1 point short, and, JR had his blunder. And we saw Warriors fans ridicule LeBron James. We've seen Golden State fans, Curry fans especially. We know that Curry fans are very young gen, whatever they are, fans that really don't respect a guy like LeBron James and, kind of see him as kind of the old guard, and they want their new guy, Steph Curry, to be in the limelight. And I understand that Steph Curry scoring 62, like I said, it is hard to do. I'm not discrediting Steph Curry's, but I do think it's hypocritical of these fans to now say oh, look at what Steph Curry has to work with. Meanwhile, you have a guy in LeBron James who's been doing it his whole life. You have Kevin Durant, same thing. But people, like I said, and Supreme Gamer, I think everybody likes to focus on the negative as it pertains to these players, is that they are not doing too well. They're rusty. They're old. We talked about LeBron James's first season in LA. Oh, he's washed. He's never going to win a championship ring. And he wins a championship ring. Whether or not you agree with the way it was handled is up to you to debate. I think it's handled. I think it's fine. I don't know why people are kind of, saying this old tire narrative. But to be honest with you, I'm tired of the old tire narrative that it takes, that one superstar can carry a team, because we're seeing right now with Steph Curry, he's understanding that by himself, he obviously doesn't have a chance, and his teammates are definitely not helping with that. I understand that. Andrew Wiggins only getting you 17 points per game. I believe when it comes to a guy like Kelly Oubre, only 9.7 points per game. So that goes to show you that they've overvalued some of these players. I'm not saying that Kelly Oubre is a bust, but as a guy that's supposed to be your second or third option, he's definitely struggling. And now James Wiseman has somehow become your third option if you are a Sacramento or if you are a Warriors fan. Look, and the thing is, I'm not criticizing Curry for his 62-point games. I'm not saying that's easy. He just scores, 3-point shots and that's it. But what I am criticizing is more so the narratives that these fans like to talk about, where it's oh, well, Steph Curry has no help, or Steph Curry is doing it by himself. How do you expect him to really do it? But it kind of goes to show you that you can't do this all on your own. And LeBron James in his first season in LA kind of showed you that. And I think that that's where I want to kind of point out the double standard. Like, the thing is, I will never disagree or I will never hate on Curry for scoring points because that's his job. And that's, and last night he did it tremendously. He got his team the victory because of it, even though the Portland Trailblazers had an opportunity to get back into the game. Lone superstar is a first round or second round exit. And the thing is, I do have this team in the playoffs. The problem for me is that the conference that they're in is going to be a really tough one, right? Because if we look at this, let's look at the full standings of which conference they're in, right? Let's go to division. Sorry, it's more division than conference. They play in probably one of the toughest divisions in the world right now. They play in the division where it's the LA Clippers, the Phoenix Suns, the LA Lakers, and the Sacramento Kings are kind of starting to come up a little bit. So what about Miami and Jimmy B? What do you mean about that, Logan? What do you mean? Like, why they... Let me hear what Logan has to say about it. I'm like, why... But the thing is like, collectively, like, you see the role players for the Golden State Warriors and you see the collective role players for the Miami Heat, right? I think that's where you're getting at. But look at the role players for both teams. Miami, they have Goran Dragic, a proven veteran in this league. Tyler Hero, a rookie that has emerged as someone that you can rely on to come off the bench for you or to start for you. Jimmy Butler, a superstar. Bam Adebayo, a quality all-star caliber type of player on your team. Like, you're seeing the maturation of the Miami Heat and why they're able to compete. Meanwhile, when you got guys like Steph Curry, he's by himself basically because Andrew Wiggins, not very good. Kelly Oubre has disappeared on him. Like, Kelly Oubre, I had so high expectations for a guy in Kelly Oubre, and the expectations are starting to falter a little bit because I don't think he necessarily has the capability of being a second guy for them. So I think we need to see him more as the third or fourth option. I mean, that's the reason why I think it works so well in Phoenix, because one, the expectations were low, and two, he was not the second or third option on the team. He was more like the fourth option. And so he was able to get those buckets because, teams were really more worried about Booker and Ayton and, other guys on the team rather than a guy like Kelly Oubre. Even though he did start to score, it was still more like, okay, make sure that we cover Booker, make sure that we get this going. And so, to be honest with you, this is where I'm kind of seeing here. I don't think they need to prove anything, Supreme Gamer. And I do agree with you about Curry. I think that he's probably one of the greatest shooters ever. But I will say that I don't rank Curry ahead of some of these other players that I have. And maybe I'll do a top 10 list of all time of my opinion of who I think is the top players. And so, we'll see as the time goes on, like how that's gonna go. But I do think that we need to stop kind of, hurting these superstar players because they can't do it on their own. Like, obviously no one can. Not in this league. Not in this generation where every superstars are now teaming up, at least a 1-2 combination. And then you have, your occasional three-headed monster in whatever franchise it is, right? And so, the sad situation, the sad state of affairs that I'm noticing right now is the fact that I think we need to start respecting these players a lot more, and I think that these Curry fans, these Warriors fans who were like all happy and dancing, the thing that I think that is humbling though is that we're no longer seeing the Steph Curry's shimmy yay, shimmy yahs and, him pooping on the court and, all these type of shenanigans that, it's fun when you're showboating and you're up ahead. But now that this is going to be a real battle for you to get to the playoffs, I think you're going to see a lot less of that. And I've always, you can do it when you're winning, but you also have to take it when you're losing too. And that's something that I hope Curry understands when he does his whole, kind of doing the eyeball thing, or he like kind of squats down and it's just like taking a poop on the court, like, and kind of doing like the little shimmy, kind of like that was a bad shimmy. But I don't want that type. I want that same energy for when you're battling it out for a playoff spot, because I think it's going to be tough. I have them as the 8th seed in my predictions. Let me double check. I do have the predictions here on my phone. Let me go to my notes app. Yeah, I have them in the final 8th spot for the conference. And so I think from what I'm seeing here is that I do agree that Steph Curry is a tremendous player. He's a great player, and I'm not going to take anything away from him in terms of talent-wise. But I think he's starting to realize, and I think everybody is that, look, Steph Curry a transcendent player, but he's one of those players like a Kevin Love or like one of those guys that, you know, maybe Kevin Love's a bad example, but more so a guy that, you know, tried to carry a franchise on his back, tried to do everything on his own, and it's not working. And you're seeing that exactly. You know, he's hearing the noise of people saying like, oh, he's not a great point guard anymore. And I think he's trying to shut those critics up. And I hope he does, because I think, like I said, he's a great player, but I want to see more out of him than I think we're getting. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. This is going to be a fun and exciting time to see like whether or not Steph Curry can kind of continue the proverbial railroad of trying to get these guys a lot better. So at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. We'll see if we can get the Golden State Warriors to get to the NBA playoffs, because this will be a fun one. Thanks for the pink water bottle. That was a fluke. Bubble caused that. No, I don't think the bubble caused what happened in the Lone Superstar but finals appearance. I don't think it was necessarily a fluke, Supreme Gamer. I mean, obviously, like looking at the situation at hand, you know, the teams that they faced, like Giannis, Giannis definitely should have been able to take over. But Jimmy Butler, I think, has a lot more experience, and I think that Giannis kind of was too soon on the Supermax, but you know, it is what it is. If he wants his money, take it. He's a solo act. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing. Like, I mean, that's, you know, with Steph Curry at this moment, he has to be a solo act, and I get that. But like I said, I'm tired of like the narrative that these Curry fans and Warriors fans and even LeBron fans do to a certain extent, right? Because I think every fan base does this. But to me, I find it more, I should say, blasphemous, or more, I would say, annoying, when I see a team like the Golden State Warriors fans and the Curry's fans being like, see, this is why Curry's the best player. You know, LeBron James would never, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like LeBron James has done this. Curry has done this. Now it's a matter of they need other players around him. James Wiseman, Kelly Oubre, and Andrew Wiggins is not going to get you to an NBA Finals appearance. I don't care what anyone says. Unless Curry is shooting it from half court every time, he's not getting there, because they're going to start picking him up. And they're going to rely on the guys like Eric Pascal and Andrew Wiggins to shoot threes. Like, they're going to let them shoot them because they're obviously terrible at them. But at the end of the day, we'll see how this team does. We'll see if they get to the playoff spot, because it will be a fun thing to watch and see how they can get to that spot. And then Supreme Gamer, like I said, kind of going back to the Miami Heat thing, I don't think it was necessarily a fluke. I think just it was a great team that got hot at the right moment. I mean, we saw guys like Goran Dragic do really well in the playoffs. We saw guys like Jimmy Butler finally take over and kind of show that he is the superstar of this league. Bam Adebayo did a tremendous job on our team, and you know and I'm kind of talking about the Celtics, especially in that series. You know, they did a tremendous job guarding us. I mean, I think we had an opportunity to win that series, but at the end of the day, we didn't do the right things, and the Miami Heat played perfect defense against us to where it affected us. And we saw guys like Jason Tatum take horrible shots. And with horrible shots means long rebounds, more kick-aheads, more threes, especially with Duncan Robinson, the way that he plays. I mean, you're seeing a lot of things from that. Is the team as bad with Klay on the court, though? How much does he impact that team? Man, I think Klay impacts that team tremendously. Another great 36% and above shooter on the team adds a tremendous value, right? Because you take Kelly Oubre, you can move him to the bench, and he can be kind of the off-bench scorer, and now you have a guy like Klay Thompson who could play defense and also score. And that's the thing. I think Klay Thompson's a better shooter than Curry. And, you know, you can call me a blasphemer, you can call me whatever, but I do think that Klay Thompson's a better player. I should say a better shooter than Steph Curry. Because I do think that like the way that Klay can play the game, man, it's something that we haven't really seen before. Where it's almost Ray Allen in his Boston Celtics days, but like on steroids. The way that he's able to move around the court, play perfect defense, and get you 36 points and on 10 dribbles. And I think people underestimate how hard that is for a guy like Klay. And so I hope you guys put some respect on Klay's name, because I think Klay Thompson with this team is a for sure 6th or 5th seed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so we'll see what happens. What will come playoff time, we'll see how it is. But with that being said, I think that is going to do it here. Ray on steroids. I mean, a little bit, right? I mean, like the way that he moves around the court, the way that he plays, defense, I don't think was Ray Allen's game. But like offensively, Ray Allen was moving across. I mean, we saw the way that he was being used to get to those corner threes. And man, it was a thing of beauty kind of seeing the plays ran for him. He kind of saw a little bit of a direction. Boom, Ray Allen gets a perfect three, or, Paul Pierce drives, or KG kind of, dominates the low post. And we're seeing different types of aspects from it. But with that being said, again, guys, we talked about today the De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley battle of the fathers, battle in Sacramento, the beef in Sacramento. Let us know what you guys think of that story. And also, guys, we talked about the Steph Curry double standard, the hypocriticalness of when it comes to a guy like Steph Curry, guys like LeBron James, Kevin Durant. We talk about that here on The Charge, of course, in a 1-hour special each and every day, Monday through Friday, time subject to change, of course. But anyway, guys, this has been your boy Bernie here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions, with the emphasis on both the news and basketball opinions tonight. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoy your Monday. I know that a lot of you are back to work, back to school. Hopefully you guys are doing a great job in that aspect. Hopefully you guys are living it up. If you guys have New Year's resolutions, make sure you go and kick butt with them. Make sure that if you are working, work hard, make the most money you can, and invest. That is something that I will say for you guys. Make sure you invest, no matter what it is. In IRA, stocks, whatever you want to invest in, start looking into that. If you are under the age if you're 18 and older, I think you should really start looking into investing. But that's just my opinion. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie, here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Again, guys, Monday through Friday. Remember to hit that like button, and also remember to hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel, to make sure you don't miss daily content like this Monday through Friday, where we talk about things, like I said, the beef that's going on in Sacramento and the double standard and the hypocrisy of Steph Curry scoring 62. Anyway, thank you, Logan. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, Supreme Gamer. Thank you, Tyrese, for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.